There is something in the dark, a whisper, swirling, coalescing into form like the nebula of a virgin star. Before this, nothing, and after, everything. In a singular moment, our consciousness opens, and we hear a voice, infinite, consuming, the entirety of our existence.
Awaken, my child, and embrace the glory that is your birthright. Know that I am the Overmind, the eternal will of the Swarm, and that you have been created to serve me.
We are a Cerebrid, an immortal extension of the Overmind, all-father of the innumerable hordes of the Zerg swarm. Unlike other Cerebrids, we have been formed with a unique purpose.
Behold that I shall set you amongst the greatest of my Cerebrids, that you might benefit from their wisdom and experience. Yet your purpose is unique. While they carry forth my will to the innumerable broods, you have but one charge entrusted to your care. For I have found a creature that may yet become the greatest of my agents. Even now, it resides within a protective chrysalis, awaiting its rebirth into the swarm.
Normally, a Cerebrid would be created merely to govern the various broods of the Zerg in the Overmind's name. But our role is more specific. We must protect a chrysalis, a cocoon housing a creature of great importance, and safeguard it from harm. Its contents are unknown to us, but the Overmind informs us of the creature's vast potential. It will, he says, be the undoing of our enemies. For now, we must learn. At the feet of the Overmind's most evolved of Cerebrids, and in the womb of their wisdom, we will gain the knowledge to protect the chrysalis until it reaches maturity. We accept this calling with our whole being, for we must do what we were born to do. Danger may lie ahead that threatens the chrysalis, and it is our purpose to eliminate it.
You must watch over the chrysalis and ensure that no harm comes to the creature within it. Go now and keep safe my prize.
We are introduced to another Cerebrid, Dagoth, the mightiest of the Overmind's Cerebrids, leader of the strongest of the swarm, the Tiamat brood, and the right hand of the Overmind, executor of his will. His very presence exudes an aura of experience, and so we understand anything Dagoth says carries enormous worth. He introduces us to the basics of the Zerg military.
The hatchery is the heart of any Zerg colony. It spontaneously generates larvae, which in turn are used to spawn your various warriors and minions.
The hatchery, which periodically spawns larvae, with the potential to morph into any one of our units. Our worker unit, the drone. A living sacrifice which is able to evolve itself into any desired structure at the cost of its own life. The Overlord, whose hovering presence grants us additional supply for our armies and detection of invisible units. The Creep Colony, harmless in its base form, but able to evolve into ground or air defenses. It also serves to expand the Creep, the living ground across the land, necessary to sustain all Zerg structures with its nourishing succor. The Extractor, necessary for the harvest of Vespene gas, and the Evolution Chamber, which provides weapon and armor upgrades for our units. We are given two structures that will allow us to spawn our ruthless forces, the first being the spawning pool, which gives access to and houses upgrades for the Zerglings. who may be the weakest of our units, but what they lack in strength, they more than make up for, with speed, veracity, and sheer numbers. Then there is the Hydralisk Den, providing upgrades and access to one of our deadliest units, the Hydralisk. A tall, serpentine monstrosity who volleys armor-piercing spines from sockets in the plate of their upper carapace. They are fragile when taking hits from enemy units, but their deadly ranged attack allows them to devastate enemy units while they are being overrun by swarms of Zerglings. As we become familiar with the machinery of the Zerg base, we are introduced to another of the Overmind's Cerebrates, Zaz, leader of the Garm Brood. What Dagoth carries in strength, Zaz matches in cunning and precociousness on the battlefield. Fitting, since Zaz also serves as kind of a spy master for the Zerg. There are few sectors in the galaxy where his influence does not reach.
Greetings, I am Zaz. I too am a Cerebrate of the Overmind. I have located a small band of Terrans who could threaten the Chrysalis and the Hive Cluster. You must not allow them to leave here alive.
He informs us that a detachment of Terran soldiers has been spotted across the nearby lake. Unknown to us, these are some of the last holdouts of the Terran Confederacy. They underestimate our fledgling brood, sending only a couple Marines at a time to venture into our territory.
Our forces are under attack.
Once we have a sizable force ready, we marshal our troops forward, and even though this is our first time commanding legions of the Swarm, it feels natural.
Our forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack.
Their forces and structures burn at our touch, and we bury the Terran with overwhelming numbers and deadly speed. Their sluggishness betrays their instinct to survive, and soon they are soundly routed. No semblance of a threat will be allowed near our Chrysalis. We are the Swarm. Some time has passed since the Overmind saw fit to breathe life into us as a protector of the all-important Chrysalis, and we have served him well in that purpose. In his wisdom, he reassures us that as we continue to please him and strengthen the Chrysalis, so too will our strength grow in kind. For our flesh, being of the Overmind, is not lost to death should we fall, but instead will be born anew.
I am well pleased, young Cerebrate, and so long as my prize remains intact, I shall remain pleased. Thus its life and yours shall be made as one. As it prospers, so shall you, for you are part of the Swarm. If ever your flesh should fail, that flesh shall be made anew. That is my covenant with all Cerebrits.
Since then, our chitinous form has grown out of its nubile stages, and the Overmind believes us vital enough to endure the stress of warp travel.
Now you have grown strong enough to bear the rigors of warp travel with the Swarm. Thus we shall make our exit from this blasted world and secure the chrysalis within the hive cluster upon the planet Char.
The Overmind directs us to ensure the protection of the Swarm's future by migrating the bulk of our forces back to the planet of Char, the once Terran-inhabited world that has since become the foothold of the Swarm in the Kaprulu sector. We are to escort the chrysalis across the planet's surface, where we will then make the jump through space and rejoin the central hive cluster. Yet remnants of a Protoss contingent pollute the surface of Tarsonis.
Remnants of the Protoss fleet still linger within this planet's orbit. They will attempt to block our exodus at every turn.
My brood shall aid you, Cerebrid, should you require assistance.
Though their main force has left the system, this meager detachment stands to inhibit us in our mission. We are not alone in our task, as Dagoth, being a real homie, has gifted us a handful of hunter-killers to assist us. These rare, lethal subspecies of Hydralisk will no doubt serve as a great boon in escorting the chrysalis to the beacon.
Do with my minions as you will, Cerebrid. They will serve you unquestioningly. Go now, and bring swift wrath to all who would oppose the Swarm.
What's more, our brood has matured enough to allow us to morph our hatcheries into layers, granting access to further structures. The first being the Spire. This flesh-coiled monolith provides our aerial units with weapon and armor upgrades, and unlocks the ability to evolve our larvae into two types of aerial units, the Mutalisk and the Scourge. The Mutalisks are hungering bat-like beasts which glide over the battlefield, flinging glaive-like worm projectiles which bounce between 3 targets. They can achieve incredible maximum speed, but take a moment to accelerate as they gain momentum. They serve as serviceable scouts, capable of holding their own, but lack a combat advantage over other airborne enemies of the Swarm. The Scourge acts as an efficient, cost-effective flyer, which births 2 of its spawn from 1 larva, not unlike the Zergling. The price of this efficiency is endurance. This fragile species cannot survive being attacked, but has the unique ability to kamikaze into their enemies. Our best method of utilizing them is to send them in only a couple at a time to surgically annihilate foes, as their explosive attack is capable of taking out fellow Scourges along with their intended targets. Luckily for the Protoss, our mission today is not to destroy them all, yet. While such a trivial extermination is no doubt within our power, we only need to escort the chrysalis to the beacon.
Our forces are under attack. Forces are under attack. forces are under attack.
The Protoss have a sizable base to our southwest and have several outposts across the area, each one defended by a few spare soldiers. Scattered as they are, we should have no issue cutting a straight line to the beacon without needing to confront the totality of their forces. With Dagoth's hunter-killers at our disposal, this task is simplicity itself, requiring no more than a dozen or so Zerglings and a couple Hydralisks of our own. We make it to the beacon with only minor resistance. Once we arrive, Zaz warns us before we make our jump that the first time through warp space can be somewhat jarring.
Prepare yourself, Cerebrit. Your first jump through warp space could be unsettling.
This is no issue, for as the chrysalis matures, so do we gather in strength and deadliness with it. Zaz underestimates our potential and does not yet realize what we are capable of, and is ignorant to just how much the creature within the chrysalis will shape the future of the swarm. The next great stage of Zerg evolution will happen under our watchful eye on Char. Our relocation to the primary hive cluster on Char is complete, and with our pilgrimage ended, we may now make safeguarding the chrysalis our sole focus until it finally hatches.
Behold the power of that which is yet unborn, for the swirling images that flow forth from the chrysalis are only a shadow of the sleeper's true power.
The Overmind beams with pride, seeing as his creation comes ever closer to emerging from its metamorphic slumber. However, as the chrysalis matures, it has begun emitting psychic resonances out into the galaxy. While the other Cerebrits know not what the emanations mean or what they are trying to communicate, Zaz has deduced that these emanations will no doubt draw our enemies to our location.
The psionic emanations of the chrysalis have reached out into the depths of space and lured our enemies to us. Even now, we are aware of their plans.
This estimation proves to be correct, for not long after the chrysalis begins emanating, Zaz intercepts a transmission from General Duke, now commanding troops in the name of the Terran Dominion.
All squadrons close formation. Scan for hostiles. Emperor Arcturus believes that there's Zerg out here, so it's our job to flush them out. I don't want any slip-ups this time. We'll show these critters that they can't run from the Terran Dominion.
We listened as he explains to his men that Emperor Arcturus has entrusted them to seek out and destroy the Zerg, which they suspect to be in this region. The fools vastly underestimate our innumerable numbers, but nonetheless, their existence threatens the chrysalis, now more vulnerable than ever.
Engage the Terran forces with care. Your priority is to protect the chrysalis at all costs.
The chrysalis must be defended, and this so-called Alpha Squadron must be removed. Their bodies will nourish the swarm. We are not gifted with new units in preparation for this battle, nor are we reinforced by Dagoth or Zaz, so we take a moment to examine the battlefield proper. Char is far removed from the lush planet of our spawning. Fiery, sulfurous fumes belch into the sky amid mountainscapes of volcanoes choked with lava, leaving the land bleak and devoid of life. What a wonderful atmosphere for battle. The chrysalis is positioned central to our base, with only minimal protection. The Terran forces are amassed deep to the northwest, having entrenched themselves with bunkers and siege tanks perched on the high ground. These tactical advantages mean this will not be as easy as we had initially thought. Wasting no time, the Terrans send in wave after wave, trying to wipe out either our base structures or the chrysalis itself. Creeping northward, we find a small outcropping of resources near our base. While useful, they are not nearly enough to tip the scales in our favor. However, east of the Terran forces, our scouts locate a generous cache of resources, perfect for setting up a forward operating base.
Forces are under attack.
Hordes of mutalisks darken the skies of the resource depot, exterminating its defenders and allowing an overlord to safely transport our drones to construct this new outpost. Our forces are under attack. With only a few hatcheries spawned at this location, our forces are bolstered to an overwhelming number. With our new base secure, we begin orchestrating our siege of the new Dominion forces. All manner of Zerg species are unleashed upon them, and while the Alpha Squadron think themselves strong, they are taught a swift lesson by our ceaseless horde, and soon General Duke sounds a retreat.
You sorry bastards. Fall back. Fall back!
Hold, Cerebrate. Do not pursue them.
Zaz, while commending our destruction of the Terran detachment, reminds us that we must stay behind with the Chrysalis and protect it, while Dagoth and his brood will pursue the Alpha Squadron forces.
Cerebrate, you must stay and relocate the Chrysalis to a more secure location. Dagoth shall deal with the remaining Terran forces.
For now, we must relocate our base and the Chrysalis to a more secure location. The time of its birth is nearly at hand. The Chrysalis nears the hour of its glorious rebirth. Though finally in a secure location, Zaz informs us yet even more Terran forces have ventured to Char, drawn in by the Chrysalis's psychic emanations.
Cerebrate, be warned. While Dagoth is occupied with the forces of the Dominion, the emanations of the Chrysalis have called even more of our enemies to Char.
While Dagoth keeps the Dominion's main force occupied, our task remains, defending the Chrysalis from any who would approach it. The Overmind echoes into our mind once more, expressing his satisfaction with our growth and the ferocity with which we've dealt with both the Terran and the Protoss so far. He reminds us that we are to hold our ground and wait until the new creature emerges from its slumber within the Chrysalis, for the importance of this new agent of the Swarm has yet to be revealed.
These too shall be eradicated by your hand, Cerebrate. For you grow more cunning with each passing battle. Indeed, you are a testament to my will and the fury of the Swarm. Yet first must you stay your wrath and watch over the Chrysalis a while longer. For the very hour of the Sleeper's rebirth is at hand. And soon my greatest creation shall be loosed.
In pursuit of our task, we are fortunate enough to have secured a highly defensible position, hunkered down onto a small island of rock resting on a molten bed, making any ground approach impossible. Zaz intercepts a transmission from an enemy base to the east, broadcast from a feeble Terran force known as Rainer's Raiders.
All right. All crews stay frosty and keep your eyes peeled for our target. Remember, not only are we up against the Zerg here, but our old pal General Duke may be creeping around too. Let's hope this trip wasn't a big mistake.
Their leader is warning his troops about the presence of our swarm and the possibility they will clash into enemy forces under the command of a General Duke. It would be fortuitous. Their preoccupation with fighting each other will certainly ensure our ability to defend our ward, but regardless, Dagoth has seen fit to keep the Alpha Squadron at bay. The Chrysalis is only minutes away from hatching, and we continue fortifying our position against the Terran interlopers. Our evolution as a Cerebrate has bore yet more fruit, as we may now evolve our larva into another glorious flying monstrosity. The Zerg Queen. While not actually of royal privilege within the Swarm, this flying support unit possesses gifts fit for ruling over the battlefield. The Queen can ensnare units in a viscous web, revealing them if they are invisible and slowing their movement to a crawl.
forces are under attack.
Even more delicious, they can also embed hidden parasites in enemy forces, revealing everything their unwitting host sees. These cunning passengers are fit for infesting enemy dropships, so we can receive early warning of an imminent attack. And what's more, they can also spawn broodlings from enemy flesh, a process which causes instant death of the victim and ushers forth a pair of broodlings from its corpse to attack any nearby aggressors. Finally, the greatest skill they possess is the ability to infest enemy command centers, allowing for the recruitment of infested Terrans to our forces.
Live for the swarm!
Mission complete.
Let me serve. Sacrifice me. Ready to kill. Prepare to die. I am wretched, but I am strong. I am the future. I am Zerg.
These Terrans, guided to the glory of the eternal swarm, charge towards our enemies at great speed before sacrificing themselves in a virulent explosion, many times more powerful than that of a scourge. This is the single most devastating attack in Starcraft.
Sacrifice me immediately, gladly. The chrysalis is opening. Do not allow any Terrans near it.
At last, the chrysalis begins to hatch, and we bear glorious witness as the Overmind ushers forth his newborn scion.
Arise, my daughter. Arise, Kerrigan.
By your will, Father, I live to serve. Let all who oppose the Overmind feel the wrath of the Swarm.
Well done, Cerebrate. What I have wrought this day shall be the undoing of my enemies. Let not a Terran survive.
Mother of God. Kerrigan, what have they done to you?
Now, with Kerrigan ready to prove herself as one of the swarm, we are finally unleashed on our enemies to eliminate the command center belonging to Raynor's Raiders.
I'm listening. Yes, Cerebrate? I'm listening. You begin to annoy me, Cerebrate. But don't think that I need you. Should you become a nuisance, I'll kill you myself.
After seizing a small, resource-laden island central to the battlefield, we build up a sizable force of Mutalisks and Overlords stuffed to the brim with Zergling and Hydralisks, and commence our siege of the enemy base.
Sarah, is that really you?
To an extent. I'm far more than I once was, Jim. You shouldn't have come here.
But the dreams. I dreamed you were still alive, that somehow you were calling to me.
I was. While I was in the chrysalis, I instinctively reached out to you and Arcturus telepathically. Apparently, Arcturus sent Duke here to reclaim me. But that was then, Jim. I'm one of the Zerg now, and I like what I am. You can't imagine how this feels.
Raynor desperately tries to reconcile with Kerrigan in vain, who strangely shows some mercy on the fool. And while this is unbecoming of Zerg, she allows Raynor to leave the battlefield with his life.
So, what? Are you gonna kill me now, darling?
That is certainly within my power. But you're not a threat to me, Jim. Be smart. Leave here now and never seek to confront the Zerg again.
Doesn't look like I have much choice.
Now that our ward has emerged and we have seen the potential of her ferocity, we can only speculate with glee at what our future holds. For now, we are an extension of Kerrigan. Just as the Overmind would command us, we will obey her, and through her growth we shall evolve to even greater heights, and further sunder the enemies of the Swarm. All shall be consumed. While Kerrigan has been reborn into the Swarm's embrace as the Queen of Blades, her latent psychic powers are still being hampered by the Confederacy's mental conditioning from her previous Terran life. Nonetheless, she is grateful to us for having kept her safe during her incubation. Our role as her protector has not changed, but rather than babysitting her, we will now follow her lead as a commander of the Swarm.
Cerebrate, you watched over me during my incubation, and I am grateful to you. It is my wish that you continue your vigil, so that I might strengthen my powers to better aid the Swarm. I have been unable to access the totality of my latent powers, and as such, I would like to infiltrate a Terran science vessel and uncover the secrets of their abandoned ghost projects. If I can learn more about their mental conditioning, I can undo the damage their tinkering scientists have done to my mind.
Her first wish is to attack a Dominion science vessel known as the Amerigo, in the hopes that she might undo the Confederate tinkering on her mind.
Though you be the favored servant of the Overmind, you would do well to remember that you are just a servant. You know of our grand mission, Kerrigan. Would you put your personal whims before the will of the Overmind?
Zaz is displeased, seething that Kerrigan puts her own agency above that of the Swarm's. Nonetheless, Kerrigan departs for her target, unconcerned with Zaz's misgivings.
Do not cross me, Zaz. I will do as I see fit, and not you or any other Cerebrate shall stand in my way.
The Overmind consoles Zaz, explaining that he has purposely left Kerrigan with her free will, knowing that her fiery passion will serve the Swarm in the battles to come.
Let her go, Zaz. The greatness of her spirit has been left to her, that the Swarms might benefit from her fierce example. Fear not her designs, for she is bound to me as intimately as any Cerebrate. Truly, no Zerg can stray from my will, for all that you are lies wholly within me. Kerrigan is free to do as she desires.
By your will, Overmind.
Trusting in Big Daddy Overmind, Zaz is soothed and affirms that we are to protect Kerrigan at all costs.
Cerebrate, you must see that she comes to no harm.
The Amerigo was a science vessel that was sent into orbit above Char roughly 4 months ago, at the start of the year 2500, under the command of Duke's Alpha Squadron. During the Terran campaign, Alpha Squadron also manned the Jacobs installation, which housed plans for the Psi emitter and several records pertaining to the Confederacy's Ghost program, among other nefarious endeavors. Without a doubt, the Amerigo will have records of the Ghost program which Kerrigan requires.
Cerebrate, take these, the deadliest of my minions. They shall aid you in your search.
She boards the vessel, escorted by 2 hunter-killers from Dagoth's brood and a swarm of Zergling. The ship's initial resistance is feeble, as we encounter only a flamethrower trap, a singular ghost, and a few Marines wasting time near the security cameras.
Now. A bold
We got company.
on my way. A bold move.
Security cameras activated.
We use the security camera to our advantage to find our target's location deep within the facility. Some of the Alpha Squadron scientists try to signal for help, but are swiftly cut down by our forces.
Call for help.
Soon, we enter a long hallway, a killing field for ghosts to snipe our brood from afar. We rush through the hall as swift as we're able, only to be greeted by a host of Alpha Squadron Goliaths in the next hallway.
All right. On my way. Yes, Cerebrate? All right.
Thankfully, Kerrigan still has her ability to use her personal camouflage, and is able to stealthily take out the Goliaths before they gun down the weaker Zerg forces. Soon we advanced forward to find a lab full of cowering scientists and only a single Marine to protect them. We waste no time using their blood to give the laboratory a fresh coat of paint.
She's infested. Stay away from her.
On my way.
Pre-Zerg Kerrigan would have been horrified, but now she revels in the carnage of slaying her foes without pity. We press on, cutting down more infantry before finding another lone scientist in a long hallway. Foolishly, we pursue him as he baits our troops into a hallway lined with sentry turrets, a cunning ploy.
On my way. All right. A bold move.
In the next room, we find Dominion holding cells, with one cell housing indigenous life forms from various planets, and the other holding several Zerglings prisoner while Marines use them as target practice.
See? They ain't so tough. These critters bleed just like anybody else.
All right.
We waste no time in ending their lives and liberate these Zerglings to rejoin the swarm. Their numbers are sorely needed, as yet more Marines and sentry guns await us around the corner, eager to turn our brood into pulp. The turrets also serve as detectors, nullifying Kerrigan's cloaking ability, so force is our only option.
Yes, Cerebrate?
All right, let's wax these critters.
I'm listening.
With our forces greatly diminished, we push into a large open room with several chasms and vents leading to the deeper levels of the Amerigo. Firebats stand guard in this area, so we push on without our Zerglings, who would no doubt be cooked up with a napalm flambe.
A bold move. On my way. All right.
Soon after, Kerrigan falls into another Dominion trap when she is locked behind automatic doors, with the switch to her release protected by turrets and more Marines on the high ground.
You'll never make it out of here alive, bitch.
Bold move.
The Queen of Blades, however, will not be stopped, and she soon frees herself while also opening the security doors leading to the next area.
A bold move. A bold move. I'm listening. All right. What is it now?
Teleportation field activated.
After stepping through a teleporter, we finally arrive at our target location and are met with a squad of Dominion ghosts, eager to die to protect the Dominion's secrets.
Our forces are under attack.
On my way. A bold move. On my way. All right.
Kerrigan cuts through them with deadly efficiency and retrieves the files, earning her title as the Queen of Blades.
Yes, Cerebrate? Cerebrate, I have located the records I sought. We have everything we need here.
Soon, we depart from the Amerigo, with the Dominion labeling the devastated vessel as infested. On a date in the near future, a Dominion strike force would venture back to the Amerigo to see if it is safe to bring back under the Dominion's command, with orders to destroy the facility if a Zerg presence still remains there.
Thank God for cold fusion.
Hey, are we really gonna blow this place?
Only if we see a Zerg.
Yeah, I got your Zerg right here.
Now that she has expunged the Confederacy's psychic meddling from her mind, Kerrigan has awakened to a new level of power.
Do you feel that, Cerebrate? The Protoss are here, on Char. They have been for some time, hiding.
Now able to sense the presence of Protoss hiding on Char, she reaches out and discovers that it is High Templar Tassadar who commands them.
Protoss Commander, it was folly of you to come here, for I am Kerrigan, and I am Queen of the Zerg.
I know of you well, O Queen of the Zerg, for we have met before. I am Tassadar of the Templar. I remember your selfless exploits, defending humanity from the Zerg. Unfortunate it is to see that one who was once so honorable and full of life would succumb to the twisted wiles of the Overmind.
Tassadar offers his pity, since when they last met, she had not yet been transformed into an agent of the Swarm, and was in fact resisting the Zerg menace at every turn. This only feeds Kerrigan's fury, as she boasts that with her newfound Zerg strength, she is far stronger than the High Templar ever was.
Do not presume to judge me, Templar. You'll find my powers to be more than a match for yours. In fact, I sense that your vaunted power has diminished since last we met.
Stoically, Tassadar assures her that he has no need to demonstrate the limit of his powers, which only sends Kerrigan into an even greater rage.
Mayhap, O Queen. Or is it only that I need not flaunt my power in such an infantile test of will?
Foolish Templar, prepare your defenses. I will come for you soon.
The hunt is now on, and she makes it clear that Tassadar's days are numbered. As she ends communication, Zaz warns Kerrigan of an unsettling presence about Tassadar. He is no normal Protoss, and there is something foreboding about the High Templar. And this indication that he is more than just mere Protoss, and initiating such a reckless attack on his forces could spell disaster for the Swarm.
Kerrigan, I sense something strange about this Templar. Perhaps you should reconsider your attack.
Kerrigan disregards his coddling, threatening Zaz by saying he risks his own life by voicing his dissent against her orders.
For the last time, Zaz, you question my motives and authority at your own peril.
Zaz, offended by Kerrigan's arrogance, leaves, grumbling that Kerrigan will be the doom of the Zerg Swarm.
You dare threaten a Cerebrate? You'll be the doom of us all.
The battle begins with our forces in a defensive position stationed on high ground with ample resources at our disposal. Kerrigan has unlocked a new ability, Psionic Storm, which blasts psychically charged streaks of lightning across the battlefield, ripping apart any souls unfortunate enough to be caught in its radius, be they friend or foe. As Kerrigan has evolved, so too has our Swarm. Our hatcheries can now morph into their final form, the Hive, the apex of Zerg base construction. The Hive grants access to all the structures available to a Cerebrate, and opens the path to evolving the Spire into a Greater Spire, allowing us to evolve our Mutalisks into powerful Guardians. These enormous flying crab-like monstrosities dominate the battlefield by raining down acidic death from above, besieging enemy bases from afar, but this power comes at a price. Guardians have no air-to-air fighting capability, making them vulnerable to attack from aerial forces. The Protoss have their own tricks ready to be wielded against us, such as the Reavers, bulbous robotic trilobites. These machines carry no weaponry, but are moving factories which produce combat drones known as scarabs. Scarabs can detect enemies from an extreme distance and are able to rush down those enemies faster than any other unit in Starcraft. Once more, they are invulnerable and unleash a devastating explosion, either upon contact with an enemy, or, if you are lucky enough to confuse the AI, detonate after a few seconds if they're unable to reach their target. Without the long-range destructive power of our new Guardians, these Reavers would surely lay waste to our defenses. As we further expand our defenses, we come across two easily defendable outcroppings of resources, which give us a resource advantage over the Protoss. We command various preliminary attacks to probe the enemy defenses, and soon realize that the Protoss Dragoons and Reavers are more than a match for our relatively basic infantry force. A Reaver's single Scarab, for example, can take out as many as half a dozen Zerglings in a single blast. But we are not to be deterred, and after diversifying the forces of our army, we lay waste to the Protoss encampment, wiping their base off the map.
All forces are under attack. All forces are under attack. Forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack.
The enemy is devastated, but Tassadar is nowhere to be found. Kerrigan, furious at his absence, attacks his pride and challenges him to a duel.
Where are you, Tassadar? Do your underlings always do your fighting for you?
This shall be our battleground, O Queen. Face me here, and I will defeat you myself.
Unwilling to sacrifice his honor, he accepts, agreeing to meet the Queen of Blades on a remote central plateau and fight each other one-on-one.
I'm listening.
The duel soon begins, but Kerrigan is surprised to find her enemy merely a hallucination, which dissipates a few moments after the start of combat.
An illusion? Are you afraid to face me, Templar?
So long as you continue to be so predictable, O Queen, I need not face you at all. You are your own worst enemy.
Kerrigan seethes at having been played so easily, as Tassadar remarks that she is her own worst enemy, and that, as foolish as she is now, he will never need to face her in open combat. Humiliated and seething with anger after having been tricked by Tassadar in their prior battle, Kerrigan returns with our forces back to the main hive cluster. She fantasizes about the wicked vengeance she plans to bring down on Tassadar with tantalizing delight, but is interrupted by Dagoth with urgent news.
Insufferable Protoss coward. Tassadar cannot evade my wrath forever. I shall find him and cut it.
Kerrigan, Zaz is dead.
Zaz is dead. Kerrigan feels no grief at the loss, only amusement at this, as she knows that all Cerebrits are promised rebirth via their connection to the Overmind.
Oh, it is a pity that Cerebrits cannot truly be killed. I expect that the Overmind will reincarnate him soon.
No, he will not.
However, Dagoth explains this is not the case. Zaz cannot be revived, having been killed by a new Protoss weapon, which has the power to both sever the immortal lifeline of the Cerebrits and simultaneously cause catastrophic damage to the Overmind, who, after Zaz's murder, is now comatose.
The Protoss have devised some new attack, an attack powerful enough to nullify our reincarnation and give pause to the Overmind itself.
So, Tassadar's plan was merely a diversion. I should not have underestimated him so.
Kerrigan, in a moment of wisdom, realizes that Tassadar was manipulating her from the start, with his real target being the Overmind. It's possible, she admits, that she may have underestimated him, for the Protoss on Char have been hiding in secret for who knows how long, waiting for their chance to strike at the swarm.
Without its master, Zaz's brood has run amok, and even now threatens the hive cluster. Cerebrit, you must eradicate the rampaging brood and stem any further damage it might cause. I shall deal with the Protoss myself.
Dagoth goes on, explaining that without a master, Zaz's brood has gone feral, running amok and causing chaos within the hive cluster. As the Overmind's Major Domo, or second in command, Dagoth issues us an order: eradicate Zaz's Garm brood, while he takes care of the Protoss, which leaves only Kerrigan to ponder her next moves. Our mission begins with us in command of a contingent of Mutalisks and Hydralisks as we begin wiping out the Garm brood. Moving northward through their southern territory, we wipe out a small outpost of the brood to clear the way to begin building our own base in force. We have progressed in our evolution yet further after our battles with the Protoss. We now have access to the Defiler. This wiggly jiggly boy is our new ground-based spellcaster, able to manipulate the battlefield with its unique abilities. It has no weapons, but can consume fellow Zerg to replenish its energy. Allowing it to saturate the battlefield with its two unique spells. The first is Dark Swarm, a defensive ability which creates a protective cloud, shielding all units inside its radius from ranged attacks.
Our forces are under attack.
The second ability is Plague, which summons a sanguine clutch of spores in a wide area of effect. These spores can devastate their enemies, causing up to 295 damage, but are unable to deliver a finishing blow to an enemy unit, leaving them at 1 HP instead of actually killing them. This ability is fantastic for softening up enemy defenses before our swarm rushes in full force. Unfortunately though, Zaz, who is more evolved than we are, has had access to much stronger Zerg minions, like the towering Ultralisk, the apex predator of the swarm. Expanding our forces outward, we flood across Zaz's former territory. First, we claim the forward base that the Garm Brood has situated to our west. Once we bring this base to heel and claim its resources, we move to another outpost to the northeast. This base is defensible with high walls and even more resources.
The hive cluster is under attack. Our forces are under attack.
The onslaught continues, fighting tooth and nail with his rabid swarm as we butcher his units across each inch of ground.
Forces are under attack.
Guardians, Hydralisks, Mutalisks, and Ultralisks all try to get in our way, but we eventually push through to his primary hive cluster. Without a master to command the brood, his unorganized, careless swarm falls before our superior tactics.
Our forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack.
We razed the tech structures located in his northern territory to the ground, and even eliminate the side base he had situated upon a nearby plateau. When we are finished in our butchery, all that's left of the Garm Brood are lifeless hunks of fleshy viscera strewn across the battlefield, rotting in the sunlight. With this threat put to rest, we move to rejoin Kerrigan and find out what her plan is to deal with the Protoss that has the audacity to murder an immortal Cerebrate. An enemy with this kind of weapon can be shown no mercy, for this is potentially the greatest threat to the future of the Swarm and the Overmind. Upon our return to the primary hive cluster, a familiar voice enters our mind. The Overmind has awoken from his comatose state, and he has news of utmost importance to share.
Behold, my long silence is now broken, and I am made whole once more.
He confirms that the Dark Templar wield the same unique energies which empower the Overmind, hence why their weapons are able to threaten the Cerebrates at all.
The cunning Protoss have dared strike down that which was immortal. For the Protoss who murdered Zaz are unlike anything we have faced before. These Dark Templar radiate energies that are much like my own, and it is by these energies that they have caused me harm.
When Zeratul, the Dark Templar, cut Zaz down with his blade, his mind briefly intersected with that of the Overmind. That psychic intrusion is what triggered the Overmind's collapse into a coma. While an unfortunate interruption to the stability of the Swarm, the Overmind was able to glimpse a vital piece of secret Protoss information while peering into the Dark Templar's mind.
Yet shall their overweening pride be their downfall. For when the assassin Zeratul murdered Zaz, his mind touched with mine, and all his secrets were made known to me. I have taken from his mind the secret location of Ire, the Protoss homeworld.
The location of the Protoss homeworld, Ire. Never before have the Zerg set foot on the sacred homeworld of the Protoss, and now, armed with this knowledge, we shall infest it at its very core. Just as we warped from Tarsonis to Char when Kerrigan was still in her infantile cocoon stages, now we will make the jump directly into Protoss space. Only this time, the full might of the Swarm will join the Overmind in the assault.
At long last, my children, our searching is done. Soon we shall assault Ire directly.
For now, we must ensure that the Dark Templar can cause no more harm. Cerebrate, you shall set a trap for our foes. Kerrigan will lead them to you.
While the Overmind prepares the Swarm for warp travel, Dagoth entrusts us with eliminating the remaining Dark Templar on Char, and Kerrigan has been tasked with leading them to us. They can either succumb to her blades, or be massacred by our forces. No matter their efforts, the result will be the same. The battle begins with Kerrigan having cornered the Protoss in a nearby canyon with only 3 escape routes. We are to station our troops at these exits and prevent the Protoss from escaping. Not an easy task, even with the extent of our might, as the Dark Templar can remain permanently cloaked if they will it. With our recent victory eradicating the Garm brood, we have finally reached the peak of our evolution. We may now evolve our larvae into nidus canals, grand worms which tunnel deep into the ground, whose enfleshed bodies serve as two-way transport tunnels. With their assistance, our troops can now instantly travel through the nidus canal to its exit, no matter where on the map it is, so long as it is located on the creep. This allows us to reinforce our choke points with ease. In addition, at long last, we have been finally granted access to the mighty Ultralisk. These towering behemoths were originally known as brontoliths, large but docile creatures with no form of self-defense aside from their gargantuan size. After succumbing to the swarm, their forms were twisted and reconstructed numerous times until they could adequately serve as the swarm's behemoths of butchery. Crashing through enemy defenses with their massive bodies and cleaving enemies in twain with a deadly pair of gigantic scythe tusks. They are the pinnacle of Zerg evolutionary might. Our mission is now extermination. The Dark Templar have been hiding on our planet for far too long, and the price they pay for destroying one of our most powerful cerebrates and harming the Overmind is their complete and utter destruction. Kerrigan is stationed within our main encampment upon a defensible plateau. In addition, we have a hatchery at both of the choke points far away from our base, which will allow us to rapidly build up our forces. While preparing to lay siege to the enemy lines, we find two separate outcroppings of resources not far from the canyon's choke points. With the mighty Ultralisk bolstering our lines, we no longer need to fear enemies like the Reaver, as it now takes several Scarabs to kill just a single Ultralisk. And with our ability to send out Defilers to soften up defenses with Plague, we now have nothing to fear at all. The Protoss utilize psionic storms from their Templar units, while we maneuver around their spellcraft and AoE attacks to take down their first base.
Our forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack.
Though the Protoss have been a thorn in our side for quite some time now, Kerrigan is somewhat disappointed that the enemy forces are falling as easily as they are.
Once again, I grow tired of slaughtering your servants. Have the mighty Templar lost their infallible courage?
Well spoken, concubine of the Zerg. But though we strike at you from the shadows, do not think we lack the courage to stand in the light. You would do well to abandon this attack.
You seem overconfident of your abilities, Dark One. I am no helpless cerebrate to be assailed under cover of darkness. I am the Queen of Blades, and my stare alone would reduce you to ashes. You and your ilk cease to amuse me. Prepare yourself for Oblivion's embrace.
Having been taunted by Zeratul, much like Tassadar only days before, Kerrigan is even more motivated to wipe out the Protoss and their ilk.
Our forces are under attack.
Our vast swaths of larvae let us evolve a massive swarm to press forward into the main Protoss encampment.
Forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack.
The strength of these Protoss warriors is irrelevant, as they can only crumble as wave after wave of the swarm reduces their forces into corpse meat. Wiping out the last vestiges of the Protoss base, Kerrigan boasts to Zeratul that victory is within her grasp, but there is no response.
Now, Protoss, you shall know my wrath. Now you will know the fury of the Queen of Glades.
Perhaps Zeratul wasn't present in this battle to begin with. Perhaps he was able to escape. But to where? Kerrigan stays behind to continue hunting the Dark Templar on Char. But our duty is to return to the Overmind, whose gaze has now turned to the true prize. The Swarm will take ire. Our earlier assumptions were proven correct. The Dark Templar Zeratul has indeed escaped our grasp and is hiding somewhere on Char. Kerrigan wishes to slay the vermin herself and has volunteered to stay behind to hunt her new prey, while the rest of the swarm travels through the warp to begin our conquest of the Protoss homeworld of Ire and end the Protoss once and for all. The Overmind addresses his children, reminding the Zerg that the approaching culmination of the swarm is at hand. Once we infest this planet and incorporate the Protoss into the swarm, we shall at last become the greatest of all of creation's children.
My children, the hour of our victory is at hand. For upon this world of Ire shall we incorporate the strongest known species into our fold. Then shall we be the greatest of creation's children. We shall be perfect. Yet before I can be made manifest upon this world, the way must be prepared. You must seize the Kadaran crystals, for within them lies power undreamed of by the Protoss. Go now, my Cerebrate. Secure the crystals and bring swift wrath to all who oppose the swarm.
We shall become a perfect swarm. While we are unsure of what assimilation of the Protoss into the Zerg would bring, we shall nonetheless do as the Overmind wills. We shall achieve perfection. In short order, we have become one of the Overmind's greatest servants, and as such our Father has tasked us to serve as the vanguard of the invasion. Before the Overmind can seed itself into the planet's surface, we will need a powerful source of energy, a Kadaran crystal. These crystals are integral to powering Protoss technologies, serving as the center of the Protoss pylon, and are also wielded by psionic units within the Protoss forces. The High Templars wear Kadaran amulets, and the dreaded Arbiters, which we will have the joy of facing in this mission, use Kadaran crystal tech for their mass cloaking and stasis abilities. With methods unknown to us, the Overmind will utilize the power of the Kadarin crystal to seed its physical form onto the planet's surface. Since the Overmind is a higher being, it cannot seed itself just anywhere. We lock onto a large Kadarin crystal formation on the surface and begin deployment of our forces. Our initial force lands inside a small box canyon northwest of the Kadarin deposit we're after. We know there are several Protoss bases in the area, and since we have already reached our max evolution for a Cerebrit, we have no further tricks to surprise our enemy with. In addition, it's likely that the Protoss will resist us with strength we have yet to witness. This is their homeworld, and they will fight with a zealotry never before seen to defend it. Thankfully, we evade the notice of the Protoss for a short time, allowing us to muster up a small force and acquire some technological upgrades. Moving our forces to the east, we encounter a small Protoss encampment with a single Reaver standing guard, which we eliminate with ease to secure the resources it protects. Ire is rich with resources, and with these at our disposal, our swarm grows rapidly. We use Guardians to safely eliminate their structures at range, letting us preserve our fighting strength and press our advantage. With a wealth of resources and several Ultralisks bolstering our might, we begin our main assault on the crystal.
Our forces are under attack. Forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack. Forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack. are under attack. Our forces are under attack. Our forces are under attack.
The crystal is being harvested.
It will take one of our drones roughly 10 minutes to extract enough of the Kadarin crystals for the Overmind, who must be protected while it harvests. Among the Protoss forces, they send in carriers and arbiters, the latter of which are able to permanently cloak their nearby allies and lock our units in a stasis field. Thankfully, our overlords and queens are able to reveal the stealth units so that our forces can destroy them. The Protoss carriers, while intimidating, pose less of a challenge, since our Hydralisks can shoot them right out of the sky with a hail of lethal spines. After what feels like the longest 10 minutes in existence, our drone finally completes its task, leaving us with a cache of Kadarin crystals. We then escort our little buddy to the beacon located in our main base. The potential this tiny drone carries will ascend the Zerg to untold heights. We can now prepare this holy planet to receive the Overmind's grace. All will fall before the swarm.
Cerebrate, the Kadarin crystals are in our possession. Now, all shall tremble before the might of the swarm.
Never before has the Zerg been able to set foot on the vaunted homeworld of the Protoss. Until now, they have relied on swift attacks in space, or from positions in orbit, before retreating in cowardice back to their secret pockets in space. But now the shoe is on the other infested foot. The Zerg have made touchdown, and are now rampaging across the surface of Aiur. Countless dead Protoss litter the ground beneath our feet, and the Overmind thrums with approval at our deeds.
You have done well, my Cerebrate. The Protoss can do nothing but flee before the onslaught of the swarm. But now you must assault one final site before our conquest is assured.
Truly, we have become the mightiest of the Overmind's servants. Perhaps one day we may even rival Dagoth in power and favor from the Overmind. In accordance with his design, we have one final target before the Overmind can achieve victory.
Behold, there is a temple not far from here that lies upon ground most hallowed. Though I have borne witness to the passing of countless millennia, the temple which you must assault is older by far. For it was constructed by my creators, the Xel'Naga, and it marks the site where the Xel'Naga first set foot upon Aiur.
There is a temple that is not far from where we harvested the Kadarin crystal, which the Overmind says rests upon hallowed ground. For the first time, he speaks to us the name of the ancient Xel'Naga, a long-extinct race of beings of profound strength that could create the all-perfect Overmind. The idea that this temple is older than the Overmind itself is staggering, especially since our Cerebracy is merely months old, and at this point in the story we are only about 3 months old. They sure do grow up fast, don't they?
The temple must be cleared, and the Kadarin crystal set in its place. Only then shall the way be made ready, for it is upon that ground alone that I may be manifest.
The Overmind assures us that this is truly the only spot on Aiur where his form can be made manifest, as the location of the Xel'Naga's first steps is the only suitable site for our Overmind's hive cluster. As long as we can bring the Kadarin crystal to the site of the temple after we raise it to the ground, the Overmind's victory will be assured. We set out for the temple, our first base located south of its location. We have a wealth of minerals at our disposal, but sadly, we require more Vespene gas. If we are to lay waste to this holy temple, we will need our most powerful and expensive units. There are plateaus on either side of our base, and even though the Protoss use cannons and infantry to block the choke points, we wipe them out with no issue.
Forces are under attack.
They had Vespene, but by the time we take them out, their vents are nearly depleted. We will make do. We find more minerals and another Vespene vent, which thankfully is full, a little farther to the north. We push through a choke point before expanding back out and into the breadth of the main Protoss forces. We marshal our troops and push onward, commanding countless legions against this doomed, glowing alien race.
Our forces are under attack.
They blast apart scores of our kind, but cannot help but fall before our numbers. Archons, Reavers, Carriers, Arbiters, their mightiest units cannot hold back the endless tides of the swarm.
Our forces are under attack.
Soon enough, we stand at the foot of the Xel'Naga temple and raze it to the ground without hesitation. How many untold millennia has this temple stood here, only to be reaped by the swarm?
Seraph, the Protoss have launched a final offensive to keep us from the ruins.
Our forces are under attack.
For a while longer.
As we destroy the temple, we receive word from Dagoth. The Protoss' northern force is beginning to stir, and will soon dispatch powerful reinforcements if we do not hurry. Dagoth ushers forth the drone carrying the Kadarin crystal, and it makes its run across the battlefield towards the temple. We must ensure that this little drone makes it to the ruined temple to usher in Ayer's doom for the Zerg. Once the drone has made its legendary sprint across the battlefield, the day is ours. With our final assault complete, and the Kadarin crystal in place, the Overmind gives us one final speech before crashing onto the planet's surface. Witness the glory and the might of the Overmind, and tremble before the machinations now in motion. Nothing will stop us from achieving perfection in function and form. Nothing.
Now shall the events set into motion so long ago be made complete. For the Protoss too were created by the Xel'Naga. They were the first creation, gifted with a purity of form, and we were the second creation, blessed with a purity of essence. Indeed, our two species are but opposite facets of a greater whole. Soon shall our two races be made as one. Thenceforth shall all feel the wrath of the eternal swarm, for the hour of judgment is come.
Hey gang, first of all I wanted to say thank you so much for watching. This has been a labor of love over the last 6 months, and I've really enjoyed making these videos. We're now about 20 episodes deep in the stories of Starcraft, and I do have plans for the future. Rest assured, I'm already working on the Protoss episodes, and I plan to have those come to you guys every Sunday morning. I wanted to give you guys a brief glimpse into the future of the content here on the channel, and after I complete the story of StarCraft 1, I plan on doing some abridged versions of a couple of the books. Right now, probably just Liberty's Crusade and Queen of Blades, since they cover some pretty interesting stuff in the story covering between the Terran and Zerg chapters. After those are done, I plan on covering the story of Brood War in a Stories of StarCraft method. And when that's done, I will maybe cover some more of the books. But outside of that, the future of the channel mostly relies on the growth in that period. Since my content changed from making Dungeons of Sandaria content to doing lore videos for one of my most beloved franchises, I've definitely have seen a dip in my channel's growth in terms of both views and how often I get subscribers. That being said, I still appreciate all the comments you guys have left. Just the fact that I've made some people happy with these videos makes them worth the effort. And comments like this one really make my day. So the left hand, or Phaladon Facts, however you want to be called, thank you so much. Reading that really made my day. I was feeling down, and this totally brought me around. So again, thank you so much for your continued viewing, and I hope you enjoy the future of the content. See you guys next time.